Hello, everyone. We are live yet again. This is going to be one of my authors' chats of the week, and as I kind of readjust just a little bit, keeping my eye out for my co-host, and then we'll be getting ready to talk about books, writing, publishing, and everything in between. So if you have any questions for us, feel free to ask them at any point if they pertain to the bookish world. And in the interim, I'm very excited because this week I just finished my first draft for the book I was working on, and this was the second book of a Greek myth duology that I've been working on for a number of months now. So I am excited that at least the first draft is done and ready to roll. Hello, hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I cannot see you. It always goes into this kind of automatic I guess thing where you see your little logo and not your actual face. So you would have to figure
Is-
out how to flip the camera. And I wish I could remember. I wish I knew how to tell you what to do, and maybe something with the three dots down below, but I don't know for sure.
I can kind of play around, see if I can figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. And the funny thing is, I'm so used to doing this side of things that tomorrow I'm going to be on the flip side and being kind of the person getting more or less interviewed, and I'm going to do the same thing. I know it. I'm going to be like, how do I flip that? So, and probably is something about the three dots at the bottom of your screen.
Okay, I'm not I think okay, maybe I did it. There we go.
There
Okay,
you go!
perfect.
Yay! Okay, what's the positives now? Hello.
All
How are
right,
you?
hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's been already a long week and it's only Thursday. Well, actually, it's Thursday, so that's a good thing. That means Friday's tomorrow. But how are you?
Yes. Yeah, good. Same here. I've been working a lot this week, so I'm glad to have I have tomorrow off, so it's glad to be done.
Woo! That's fun. Is it a long weekend or is that kind of like do you usually have Fridays off?
So I work every 3 days, so I work 24 hours on, so I get 2 days off every
Wow.
cycle. So
That is wild. Good for you. I could not work on that cycle, but to each their own. But if you've never listened to any of my lives before, they're pretty conversational. We'll kind of kicks things off. Ooh, if I can speak today, with you introducing yourself in just a moment. But if anybody throughout the time kind of pops into the feed and has any questions or bookish related comments or anything, I try to make note them or answer those questions. And I think depending on how people join the live, I may or may not see all the questions or comments. So if I'm missing things, feel free to make note of them on your side because it may mean they may be jumping on the live stream through your side of things. And yeah, so
gotcha.
that's pretty much it. And then outside of that, yeah, I'll let you introduce who you are, what you write, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm Kayam Laumann. I write fantasy romance. Um, so I guess I started writing this book a couple years ago. And this is going to be my debut release. And I've just recently, in this last year, decided to self-publish. Initially was not on that train until I started learning more. So that's just kind of what I've been doing, is just working on my this debut release and how it's going to be leading into an epic fantasy series. Um, so yeah, I don't know what else.
Well, I was going to say, just getting to the point to be able to have written a book and start gearing up for the publication side of things, and I'm an indie published author myself, so I know the challenges of that because I say this all the time, there's no one right way to publish, and depending on whatever route you choose, as long as it's perfect for you, that is the right way to choose it. But yeah, it's there are all these little steps. There's like 1,002 little check boxes you have to kind of figure out and
Yes.
navigate. At least, going through it the first time, and hopefully you make good notes. So if you're replicating it in the future, you're like, oh, I know how to do this now, or at least I know
Yes.
what not to do.
I know I've definitely made a ton of mistakes just going through the process and like I mean I knew I was gonna make them and I knew it was gonna happen. I was gonna have to try new things and but I mean it's a big learning curve and as I go keeps getting bigger the scope of the possibilities being an indie author and it's so cool the amount of things I just keep learning about.
It is, and I know I don't know if you've ever hit that moment, but there gets, at least for me, there was a moment where it was almost kind of intimidating because you have to learn
Yes.
everything, and you have to kind of figure out, you are essentially becoming a business owner. If you like it or not, you have to be able to micromanage all these things. And, are you
Hmm.
doing your own cover? Are you going to get someone to do your cover? Where do you find that person? Where do you find your editor? Do you use all these questions and everything? So, how about let's double back all the way to your book. So, what made you decide you wanted to be a writer in the first place?
I've written stories ever since I was young. I can vaguely remember when I was like in like elementary, but junior high is actually when I tried to write my first book, which we all know that that age it never pans out. But yeah, pretty much junior high was when I really knew that I wanted to be a writer, and then in college as well. I didn't pursue it like English or anything through college because I do have another full-time job that's my main gig. But I knew it was always something that I wanted to do alongside my career.
Yeah. Would you ever want it to be your full time career? Are you content with having side hustles? I know some authors that do very, very well, but they still like having a different job because it expresses different
Mhm.
interests for theirs. So if you could be a full time author, would you?
I would probably say yes, I would love to, because especially it's so time consuming now. And whenever I get an idea, I want to start and I just want to start writing right away. And it's really hard. Sometimes it can be hard to manage both.
Yes.
But my job does give me so much inspiration for writing. So that would be really hard to say goodbye to.
Yeah. And you said you're working into a series that's going to be an epic fantasy series.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you tell us, am I allowed to know, like, what am I allowed to know about this
Yeah.
book? Like, what is your future pitch? You can still be working on it. I've published since 2016. I'm still working on my pitches. So, how
Yeah.
are you attempting to pitch your book in a nutshell?
Oh gosh, it's so hard, the elevator pitch. Yeah. So this book actually releases in like 4 weeks. So everything's done with this and I'm just working on the marketing now for it. So basically it is a firefighter paramedic who is from Earth, and she stumbles on a portal and basically just falls into this fantasy world. And it's not like she gets thrown into like magic, dragons, and like princess and gowns and stuff. No, she stumbles upon a murder scene and is
Unfortunately.
immediately mistaken as the killer.
I mean,
So so the whole premise of the first book is basically it's a portal fantasy where she is thrown into this new life and she has to kind of figure out a way to get back home if it's even possible, while also trying to defend herself that she isn't the murderer, and using her skills as a paramedic to prove that she's a healer, and she kind of takes on that role in this world, because it's a more medieval fantasy style, so they're using like herbs, tonics, stuff like that. So she's learning and she's applying what she does as a paramedic to this herb system, and because she has more of an advanced knowledge, she's proving really successful. So they're kind of like, okay, maybe you're not a killer. So it's basically she is going to be working on either finding a way to escape to get home or trying to prove that she isn't.
Okay, for a moment there, I was a little worried where you were going because all I could think about is like which burned her and like she knows too much and how did she do that? How is this so successful? Like, okay, we're not going that route.
No, no, we are not going the burn the witches route. No, we are not.
But no, I love that premise, and yeah, definitely the portal fantasies are a lot of fun. I know if
Mhm.
you are not aware yet, I discovered this a couple years ago. There's an alternative term for portal fantasy, and that's isekai. And that one, for whatever reason, when I start using that hashtag, that one gets a lot more views on average than just saying portal fantasy. It's interesting.
Someone had called it in the comments at Nisakai, and I was like, so I did a little bit of research, but I was like, I didn't know like if I could call my book that. So that's interesting. Okay, I'll have to remember. I'll have to add that down to my list
I
of
was gonna say this is one of
hashtags.
those like it's just another way it falls into. I think isekai comes to Japan and it's just
Mhm.
their word they use versus here in the English speaking side of the world what we use, and both I think are more or less correct. So
Yeah, because when I was trying to learn how to market it, it's such a small niche that I was trying to figure out the best way to show that. Because the first book is the portal part, and we're going to start moving into a broader epic
Mhm.
fantasy where we will have multiple POVs throughout the series. Book two is actually has four POVs.
Nice.
And yeah, so we'll keep getting, I think it's going to end up being about eight POVs by the end.
Ooh.
Um, so we will continue to have aspects of a Portal Fantasy, of other places built in throughout the series. But my main reason I think for wanting to do a Portal Fantasy was I love adding comedy to books and to kind of have that introducing a fantasy world from the eyes of someone who doesn't know what it is and picks up something that is ordinary to them and goes, "What is this?" And they're like, "What are you talking about? That's this."
Yeah,
Just kind of can add that comedic element.
I like that. I like that. And no, that's a lot of fun. Now, you said the second one was going to have four POVs. You're working your way to
Mhm.
eight. Is the first one multiple, or did you just stick with one?
Yes, so the first one, it's technically three because the prologue is from a character's POV, but we don't
Mhm.
get that character
Yeah.
throughout the rest. So then it's basically a dual POV between our FMC and our MMC.
Ah, very nice. Yeah, you're braver than I am when your first go around. And actually, for me, I've written several series, and all the series that I've published so far, and all the books I've published so far, have all been single POV. Now it's changing
Yeah.
in some future book works, but it took me forever to try that. I was just I
Hmm.
guess, a little psyched out about the concept of trying to work in multiple headspaces at once, which is kind of funny because I'm always writing multiple books at once. So I'm still doing that.
Yeah. It's weird. So I used to write multiple POV first person.
Mhm.
That was a lot. That was if it was maybe only going to be two or three POVs throughout the whole series, I probably would have stuck with it. But I feel like when you're writing first person, you just like hone in more than when you do third person, and that was a huge challenge. I was like, nope, nope, we're doing third person.
Yeah, there are like so many ways you can approach writing and telling your story. And I know with the multiple, especially when you're going to epic, that's one thing people want, or multiple perspectives, because you also want to have, I think readers enjoy seeing glimpses of the world in different areas. Maybe they're all different
Mhm.
areas of the same city, or maybe it's actually physically different areas of the same world and what's going on. But it can be a lot of fun to tell a story that way.
It can be. Growing up, I was a huge fan of Rick Riordan and like Percy Jackson
Mhm.
series, and I feel like a lot of his books they did change that POV, and I think that's kind of where my writing stemmed from, where because I've always loved to write from both POVs, so I think that's he was a huge influence in that part of my writing.
That's neat. I love that because not everybody exactly can like pinpoint maybe where they pulled their influence. And one of the things I was retrospectively thinking of my Portal Fantasy, my young adult Portal Fantasy, and I had the fifth book released earlier this year, and I was like thinking about like marketing it and everything, and I was like, man, this is really a nod to my childhood. During the time when I was coming up with this magical multiverse, because I was like, this is from Yu-Gi-Oh! This is, Beast Machines. This is the Jackie Chan Adventures. Yes, I'm dating myself on my cartoon watching. And this is, and I was like, I can see it now. I can see where it all comes from. So that can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is quest when I my alpha readers are my best friends from like the junior high on. And so it's fun to hear them the feedback. They're like, "Why does this sound like you got this?" Like she so when my main character with her kind of comedic elements and a lot of her inner thoughts, my friend was like, "This is totally giving Percy Jackson vibes."
Well,
And
then
because I yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, well, I was gonna say, make a note of that because that's one of the things, especially early on, I never thought about, or those like also like, so the also buy your comps and everything, and be like, if you're
Yes.
trying to write for an older audience, you can say, if you like the humor and the vibes of Percy Jackson, but combine it with blah blah blah, you can use that to pitch your book.
Yeah, that is the hardest part I found. It's not even like coming up with videos or something to post every day, but it's the specific marketing. Like, what about my book would make it enticing for people? That is the hardest part I've found in this journey.
Yeah, because it's like some people want to have something relatable that they're like, oh yes, I like this, so that I'm gonna like this. Other people are like, but then why is it unique? Why am I not just reading the same book? And you're like, but it's different because it's just like, okay, everyone, I'm doing my best. I'm trying.
Yes, yes.
So how is okay? You said your book is about 4 weeks away or 4 months.
4 weeks away. Yes, October
Oh,
28th is when it releases.
exciting! So, how are you
Yes.
trying to navigate the marketing side of the? I don't know if you're putting pre-orders or just saying, "Hey,
Mhm.
it's going to be dropping in 4 weeks." I don't know how you're trying to figure that out.
Yeah, so I am doing pre-orders. I initially was just doing Barnes& and Noble pre-order, and I am in Kindle Unlimited, so I'm doing that. And for some reason, I was having issues with Ingram Spark, and it released my book for pre-order on all of their distribution systems. And luckily, it's all ready and everything, so now my book's just available for pre-order everywhere. But honestly, the hardest part has still just been trying to hone in on what to market. I feel like I've been throwing things at the wall, and I'm just kind of trying to see what sticks right now. And so that's been like all I've been trying to focus on is just, all right, how do we get the word out? How do we get people to
Yes.
know it exists?
Yeah, no, marketing is a beast. It's an ever changing, ever evolving, monstrous beast that some people can like manage to tame in some way, shape, or form. Other people really struggle. And there
Right.
are moments where I feel like I get it, and then there are moments where I'm like, nope, I definitely don't.
Yeah. What has like been your most successful marketing tool?
Well, I will have to say, being on Book Talk has always been a great thing for me. It's been helped build a community, and that's helped me educate myself on better ways to market, but also reach readers. Outside of that, recently it's been live events. I've been really enjoying going
Okay.
to so once you have the book in hand, and if
Hmm.
you are going to like take it upon yourself to go to, maybe it's a literary festival in their neighborhood. Maybe it's a big, giant 5 day convention or whatever. Those kind of things have been a lot of really neat experiences, being able to actually talk to potential readers face to face, sell the books, sign them, and build relationships with readers that way.
I've started looking into that, and because I know some people you have to book
Yes.
sometimes years in advance. So I actually was looking at that this morning, and I trying getting on a couple wait lists for next year. So yeah, so I'm excited to kind of see how that goes. Very nervous, but excited to see if I can get into anything next year.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly have to like update, but like come up with a sheet of like all the things that happen in my area as they spread out, and then like my interest level, and of course how much travel, and trying to factor all that in. But marking those things and then trying to work backwards on when do you apply. Like you said, sometimes it's
Mhm.
pretty much a year in advance. Other times it's the month before or whatever. It just depends on how big and how structured, how often. But
Yeah.
yeah, I hope you get in and have that. It is
Thanks.
really a fun thing to do, and being able to sign your books and come up with your author signature and do all that.
Yes. I still haven't gotten that down. I'm like, I have time. I have time. I have like 4 weeks.
It's okay. It's okay. It's like I said. There's so many things you have to like think about and learn as you go. Do you have, by the way, an example of your cover or what your book will look like? I know you don't have a physical copy necessarily yet. I just didn't know if you had like
I
a printout or some people.
I actually do have a physical copy. I just got my Ingram Spark book in today. I actually filmed an opening of it today. So, yeah.
Ooh, beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that. Very nice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now that is gorgeous. So, how did you figure out or the who you were going to use to design your cover?
That was a process, and I really wanted to take my time with it because I knew I suck at graphic design. I have no eye for for art. So I first started on Instagram, and I just kind of found as many cover designers as I could, or I found books that I enjoy and I really liked their cover. Oh, TikTok trying to tell me to take a break. Um, And I started looking up the different styles that there were because I wasn't sure whether I wanted more realistic or more character art on the front. And then I kind of found, and also price range and stuff. So I broke it down to about 5 to 6 that I really liked, and then it kind of just went based off of time frame for that.
That's great. I see a comment popping up saying, "Congratulations, love. Your cover is beautiful."
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say never. Always show your covers. Always show your covers. And love them and everything. But yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, because not I know I'm that person that's done everything the wrong way once. So I've done all the things you're not supposed to do, and then make your corrections, and you start hopefully moving in the right track. But yeah, for
Mhm.
a debut book, that looks beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I knew it was something that I wanted to save up for and really put the money into because I know I go into a bookshop and I'm drawn to the covers. That is my
Yeah.
biggest thing is its cover design. And so that was something big on my list that I knew I wanted to spend the time and the energy and money into.
Yeah, and that's the thing is people again. We all tell each other we're not trying to judge a book by the cover, but we do. It's
Yes.
not fair because you can have a fantastic book with a horrendous cover, or just the wrong cover. It could be beautiful, but just the wrong
Yeah.
one for the market you're trying to get into. But yeah, we judge a book by a cover, and I do it too. It's like, ooh, pretty book. For whatever my aesthetic is, I'm like, yes, I want that. Give me more.
Yes. Well, I had no idea even really what I wanted on the cover. I threw some ideas at my character. I mean, I threw like character ideas at the artist, and she's like, we're leaning more towards items right now, is kind of how the market's going. So I was like, okay, well, what about this? And so she kind of helped steer the direction of the cover because I honestly had no idea what I wanted to do for it. Like I gave her a premise and some ideas, and then she came up with this beautiful design. And I couldn't have asked for a better cover. I love it.
I see, yeah, in the comments, Crystal says, I'm the same way. She also asked, did you do any character art for your upcoming book?
I did. So I have a couple on my TikTok right now. I have started releasing them, and I even have more that I just got in the other day that I'm going to be continuing to release on my socials. And I do have more scheduled to get done for the book.
That's neat. And are you going to be like, I don't know, are you planning to sell any direct, or are you going to just try to do it? Because I know you said you were on Ingram, so they're going to
Hmm.
distribute your book all the places, but um, are you going to like try to offer the character art for people to physically have in hand versus see it digitally?
Yeah, so I eventually do want to figure out how to sell books direct. That has been once I kind of get this book on
Baby
its
steps.
feet and I'm going, yes, baby steps. I need to do baby steps because I'm gonna 100% dive in and do everything I can. So I do want to sell direct on my own website, which I will sell character on my website, but I also want to have it for events for when I go and it's just another thing that I can have.
Yeah, and I also see the comment. It's been hard for me to find anyone to do it. And one of the things that I started doing when it comes to character art is, especially Instagrams, I found really good for this. But yeah, I will look and
Yes.
either search hashtags, but also look at other authors and see what they're doing, and then
Hmm.
ask, who did you use to put this? A lot of times they'll tag the artist because they want to, make sure the artist gets the credit that's due to them. And I have my whole file. I have a whole little bundle on Instagram of like all the people who are like, these are great cover artists, these are great character artists. And so if I ever like, okay, if I have the money and I have the right book that would match with the style, this is who I'll probably reach out. So you can start coming up with a plan that way too, because it's really neat. And I waited for a long time. It was only a few years ago when I started dabbling with Kickstarters that I started getting into character art as little extras, but it also gave me a reason to push me in that direction because everything costs money.
Yeah.
And budgets
I
are a thing.
Right. Well, a big reason I wanted to start doing character art was for marketing purposes. Because I
Uh-huh.
know for me personally, that was always a big, like that's what my feed was filled with. I loved seeing character art and like how they would provide a scene or whatever. So that's kind of how I wanted to start moving in my marketing direction. And yeah, Instagram is where I found most of the character artists, especially when I would, if I found a style, I kind of would go down a rabbit hole and find an author who would have tons of character art. And so then I would just continue to shuffle through. Like I have a whole folder and a list of all the character artists that I'm working with, what we're doing, and
I
who
love
I
that.
want to eventually. And so it's because also like you have to schedule so far in advance for some of them. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll schedule you next year for book two then.
Yes, yeah, no, that's I'm working on talking about Kickstarter. I see that in the feed. Working on a Kickstarter for my first special edition book, and I'm really excited about. But yeah, it's
Oh,
also
exciting.
I had to plan well in advance because I was trying to get some of those artists that do book about a year or so in advance to get them to do various, internal pieces, external pieces, scene art, cover art, all that kind of stuff. So it's one of those. Yeah, you have to plan, you have to work backwards, and
Mhm.
it's not going to just happen overnight, which is, we all want it to be there. We want the pretty books to be out in the world and everybody reading them.
Yes. Yes.
It's not like that, and even though I will have to say, on the indie side, it feels like you take forever, and especially like early on when you're trying to figure everything out, it does have maybe probably a longer time frame than you do once you start figuring out your, the methods, routine, who you're going when, and you come up with your own personal timeline. But overall, I think indie publishing does allow you to release books far, far quicker than it comes to trad.
Yeah.
And again, not to say there's a pro or con for either way, but it's just that is one of those perks that you can turn a book around quicker if you so choose and you really have that energy and time to do so.
Yes, that was my biggest reason for going indie was that I could do it at my own pace and do it faster if I wanted to. Because I do write pretty fast since I do have those 2 days off in between every work day. I get a lot of writing done because I do best when I kind of just sit down for hours on end and
Right.
just bust out words. And so I knew that I kind of wanted to go at a faster rate and so once I started learning more about indie publishing, I was like, okay, yeah, this is the route that is gonna be best for me.
See, and that's the thing. It's like everybody's so different. I am, knock on wood, a full time author and artist. We'll see if that changes. You never know day to day. But it's one of those things. Like for me, I have a very specific routine. I'm routine oriented. My mornings are my writing time, and I get 2.5 to 3 hours just pure writing time. And a lot of everything else is figuring out marketing and editing and work. Prepping book releases and other things because I'm always cycling various books, various series. But then again, I talked to another author and he had a weird system. I think it's weird because it's so foreign to me. It was 1 week on, 1 week off. 1 week of just writing, 1 week
Interesting.
of doing all the marketing and everything else, and then flipping back. And supposedly for him, it made him almost twice as productive in his writing, but it worked for his brain and how he can function. I don't know if
Mhm.
I could sit down and write all day. I think I would start getting a little
Yeah.
bored and go, needing to do something else.
I'm still trying to find that balance of like what's a good schedule for me. For a little bit, I was doing okay for 3 to 4 hours every morning. When I'd get off work, I'd write, and then I'd move into the admin and doing all the other stuff, and I would just kind of repeat. And I was trying that for a while, and then I got a concussion, so I couldn't write for a couple weeks. But so now I'm trying to get back into that pattern. But I would say when I first was writing, I would say I was kind of probably like him, where I would write for just straight write because for me I work faster and I the ideas are better when I'm just so immersed into the world and just there for a while versus coming in and out.
Yeah, and everybody is different. Plus, depending on jobs and lives, I some very successful authors started out having full time, I'll say other jobs because again, writing's a job, raising
Yes.
kids, having families, doing all the obligations, and then sitting down like late night and spending hours writing. I'm like, kudos to you. When do you sleep?
Yeah. Yes.
Everybody's different. I was like, when do you sleep? Anyhow, it's a fun journey and for everybody. So, okay, going back to your first book, your debut that's being launched in October 28th.
Yes.
Yay! It's exciting. It's coming up. Do you have like any kind of? Are you going to do anything special for the launch? Are you going to go and sleep all day and be like, it's done? Are you? having friends over? I mean, what are you doing to celebrate your book launch?
I haven't planned anything. I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I made sure it was on a day that I didn't work. So I'm just honestly I'm probably gonna just write, but because I'm working on book two, because I'm trying to get book two to beta readers by November.
Oh,
But
wow.
I don't know. I don't really know what people really do for their it's like being an indie author. I don't know. What do people usually do for their release?
It varies dramatically, and in my personal experience, it also depends on what book I'm working on. Because one of my series that I've completed now was a novella series, so I didn't really celebrate those because I was turning four of those a year plus a full book length book of another series. But they were novellas; they were short, they were quick, and it didn't
Yeah.
feel like I needed to put for everyone a big effort to do something hoorah. Now, looking back, I was like, man, I probably should have taken more of a moment to like just be like, I did it. But I've done things like little signings and local gatherings. I've done days and things like jumping on a live and talking about it to the bookish community and people just hanging out and we just chatting and whatever. So it really is whatever you want. I've seen people go very extravagant with cakes and doing full parties, and it's all however you should want to do it, but do something special. I mean, especially it's your first book.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be meaningful in one sense because you're like, oh, I have it, it's done, it's out in the world. On the other hand, do something, celebrate.
Yeah. I'll have to do something. I'll have to come up with something.
I don't know what you want. I don't, but just something.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but yeah, that's exciting. Congratulations, that is so exciting.
Thank you. It's exciting and it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah, that it is. That it is because even though you've done the heavy lifting and a hard part to some extent, marketing is always another thing, different entirely. But you've done like the hard part. You've written the book, you've edited it, you've put it all together, and now it's going to be out in the world. But yeah, it's that wait to see what other people think, and you know,
Right.
it's one. I guess everybody's going to tell you this probably this once. Don't let bad reviews crush you. Will they? Most likely, yes, because it's your first book and the first few, and it's just like
Mhm.
even so often you get one that stings. You're like, ow. Why would you do that? But the general thing is, people are gonna love you. They are. You just have to find the right people, and that's the trick of marketing. But people are.
Yeah. That's been like kind of my motto the last couple weeks to kind of get through the anxiety of finally releasing it is I'm like, there are books that I don't like and there are books that I love and vice versa with other people. And I'm like, it's totally subjective whether someone likes a book or not. And so that's just what I keep reminding myself. And I'm like, you did your best and you put out your best work and now you just gotta let people enjoy it.
My one of my lesser reviews, and I'll throw this out for you because I chuckle every time because it was a really good review talking about all the things they liked about the book, etc., so on. And then the rating was very low, and the last line of the review was, "I rated it this way because it wasn't a standalone, and I only liked standalones, but it was a series." So you can't please
Interesting.
them all. So that's my thing. It's like, it's gonna happen, but
Yeah.
just enjoy the ride, and it's gonna be fun. And how many books are supposed to be in the series? Do you have any idea? Because as epic fantasy goes, usually you have several, sometimes
Mhm.
more than several.
Yes, I go big or go home is evidently my thing. So there are technically nine books planned for this series, eight sequential, and then a prequel novella that will actually go between two and three. So I've actually started writing that prequel novella, actually. I say novella, but it's probably going to be the size of a regular book. But
I mean, it happens. It's like short stories turn into novelettes that turn into novellas, and all of a sudden if you hit that 40,000 word mark, you have a novel.
yes, yes. Yeah, I've been working on this world for so many years that it's kind of just it's grown into something that is so big that I'm so excited to continue playing in it because I after the series is done, I will continue to follow side characters or also just go to different continents because we only see a small part of the world in the maps that we have, and there are still other places that I haven't shown yet that I'd love to eventually weave into the story somehow. And then there's also prequel ideas and sequel ideas.
I mean, that's what a lot of authors do enjoy. If they spend so much time doing the world building and put that infrastructure down, then why not play into that world as much as possible? And readers who fall in love with the world want to stay there as long as possible too. So it's a win-win in
Right?
many ways. Do you have, or have you considered creating a map of your world or variations of the map as you expand your world, depending on how much of it you yourself know?
Yes. So we follow the main story is going to follow Godwin, which is one of the kingdoms, and so I have two maps for this book. It's going to be we have the Black Sea and the Nebulous Sea, and so then you have half the kingdom on each one per se, and then you have the tips of some of the countries. So you kind of know the generalization of where they're at, but you don't see the full extension of them, but you do see the full extension of Godwin. And then as the books progress, I will continue to add more maps of full countries, of other ones. I'm so far planning for 4 maps in this series, so we'll see if I end up because I do draw my own maps. So we'll see if I continue to ex expand in this world. I could see a 5th or a 6th map coming in, but they may not come in this series. They might come in later series.
You were just saying that you had no artistic talent and you're there drawing your own maps.
I
Just
use
draw.
have you ever heard of the Fantasy Map Builder?
Well, that particular one, no, but I know there are a few fantasy map builders out there.
Yeah, so that's what I use and to build my maps. And without it, I would not have
Is
been
that
able
one
to
of
do
those
it.
you pay for, or is it a free one? Because I know there are like, I think, oh god, is it not in design, but there are a couple out there that people talk about. It is something that I do need to look into because I only have one map, and it's only for my first series.
Mhm.
That one I hand drew way back in the day. So going forward, I'm like, now I need to get better about these things called maps.
I knew I always wanted a map for my fantasy books. I love maps in books. But so this program, it is a single purchase and like you can add on packages to it, but it's not like it's a subscription. And it works with Photoshop and Procreate. I mainly use it in Procreate, but sometimes Photoshop. And then I think it works with a couple others, but I just don't know the programs.
Oh, okay, and I also say thank you, Keith. Incarnate, yes, that's the one of the other ones
Yes.
I was thinking of. But yeah, I knew there were a couple out there floating around, and always curious to see which ones people use and enjoy. Because yeah, map making skills are. I love when people can hand draw them and all that, but that takes time, especially if you want the details. You
Yes.
have to like stand and figure out how to. Hand drawing it is hard, man. You're trying to
Yes.
figure
Oh,
out how to get it
yes.
into a book. But yeah, so that's good to know. Thank you. Always trying to learn. That's why I keep my sticky notes. I'm always learning things in these lives.
I mean, that's the perfect time. Honest, like I've been trying to follow as many different indie authors as I can, just because everyone has a niche that they know pretty well rounded about that specific idea, and so I'm just learning from each one, and it's been fun to learn and to kind of and to meet new authors in this journey.
Yeah, yeah, and that, I think it was Crystal who was popping in a little earlier. I don't know if she's still here around now, but was talking about like how much she loved this community because the writing community and the book community is just it is really generally really nice. There are always a few bad eggs. Thankfully, I have not met any of those personally, but I know they
Yeah.
exist. But generally, we're a nice group.
Yes. Yeah, it took me a second to kind of get on social media. I started with Instagram first, and then I actually only just started diving into TikTok in April. Um, and it there are obviously ups and downs because social media and marketing can always be rough, but definitely building that community with other writers and book and readers because there's not a whole lot of, I feel like it's hard to sometimes find people who love reading in person. Like, luckily, my friends are really big readers, but at work, I'll be talking about books and they're like, "Are you reading?" They're like, "How many books have you read this week?" So it's fun having more readers and writers to be able to talk with.
Oh yeah, and it is you realize when you're on here long enough, no matter where you are in the world, how small the world can be because just having run these kind of like weekly live chats for the past couple of years, I've met a number of authors that actually are not even just in my state, but relatively close by. So it has been kind of cool because then I've actually looked at someone like on the screen for however long, and then I was like, oh, I can meet you face to face. We can go and grab a coffee. This is awesome. Small world. Let me go ask actually some questions that I try to do every time because if this
Hmm.
platform's nice, I will repurpose this live chat on my YouTube channel and put all your contact information down below. But for
Awesome.
those chatting right now, outside of Book Talk, you mentioned Instagram. Where else can people find and follow you? Do you have a website? Do you have a newsletter? Other socials?
Yes, so socials, I also have Facebook and Threads, and then I do have a website and a newsletter that people can find me on.
And your website is?
kmlawman.com.
There we
Super
go.
simple.
I mean, it's nice, to have a website, and I'm sure it's Googleable, but it's also good to like mention what it is.
Yes. I'm still learning, still.
Oh no, it's okay. It's like sometimes even if I'm, which is gonna be tomorrow, I'm gonna be like I said, the person people are gonna be interviewing in 19. Anywho, but it's gonna be the same thing. Someone's gonna ask me one of these questions that I know the answer, but as soon as someone asks the question, it's like blah 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 blah. I don't know. It gets in the head. Anywho, okay. You also mentioned earlier on, but I'll reiterate. You said you were going to be on KDP, so that's obviously ebook, and then you have
Mhm.
Ingram Spark distributing. I think you were holding up. Was that a hardcover or paperback? Are you going to have both?
Yes. So this is paperback, and I'm just doing paperback right now. I do want to dive into hardback, but I was like, okay, I was like, one at a time, I'll eventually get there.
And that's
So,
okay.
yeah.
Like it's your first book and trying to figure it out. Not everybody's going to be able to do like all four formats at once. I mean, I
Yeah.
definitely did. I'm still catching up with things like at whatever, how many years, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever I originally was going through KDP for my print copies. So whenever they launched the fact that you could finally have a hardcover, that was the first time I actually had a hardcover. So until then, I was ebook and paperback only. And then also since then, I've started moving into audiobooks, but it didn't happen all at once. And that's
Yeah.
okay.
That's also what I love about the indie route is I can do as little as I want to start and I can do as much as I want.
Yeah, I was gonna say definitely have an ebook and then preferably a paperback when you launch, and then you pretty much at least get foundationally good to begin, and then from there you can decide where else you're gonna go, and if you're gonna do what I'm trying to do and go crazy and do a special edition after, why not? But the world
Right?
is your
One
oyster.
day.
Uh, and you said for Ingram Sparks distribution, your paperbacks are going to be widely available.
Yes, yes, they are widely available.
Yay! That'll be kind of cool. I have yet to use something like I'm still debating between Ingram Sparks and there are some other ones out there that are trying to compete with them. Even though I know Ingram is the big heavy hitter when it comes to wide distribution for physical copies. So you'll have to let me know how that goes for you because that's one of my to-do lists that I'm like I should take my print books wide. I say this and then I haven't.
Yeah, I've heard
Oh,
so many different things. I've heard people who love Ingram and I've heard some horror stories.
great.
And so far it's been pretty good, so we'll just continue to see how it goes. But I knew I wanted to do my ebook specifically in KU, and so I knew that I wanted to make sure that my paperbacks were wide. And so where I live, I actually live by a Books a Million. And so I wanted to be able to have my book have it as an option for people online there so that way like because a lot of my family my friends go there and then they could go and request it if they wanted it, so I knew that was with Ingram was definitely something that I made sure I wanted to do.
Yeah, and then I don't know how, since I've never done it with a Books a Million or Barnes and Noble or any of those, but sometimes depending on the store, if you talk to them, they'll put a few physical copies in their store as long as you, I guess, on the Ingram system have it set up accordingly. And that would be kind
Hmm.
of cool. They could physically go into the store and be like, "That's my book."
Right, that would be cool. I'd eventually love to, because there's also a little bit farther away, there's a Barnes and Noble that I would love to try, because I think it's going to be easier for Barnes and Noble than Books a Million when I was like doing some research on it.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it ends up happening.
That is neat. Yeah, no, my big achievement was over the past few years was finally being able to open my own website store. It's to start selling physical copies and now digital copies, so ebooks and audiobooks. And that's been my big winning achievement over the past couple of years. And now I'm like, take a breath, move the ebooks wide, most of my audiobooks wide, take a breath. Now we'll have to figure out the whole print thing. Eventually. I keep telling myself this, but who knows? Let me ask you, with your upcoming book, you said you're trying. What are your next goals? You mentioned something about trying to send arcs to readers or beta readers for your second books coming
So
later.
I did do arcs for my first book. So I've been actually getting some of those reviews back, so that's been exciting. And then I'm trying to find some beta readers right now for my book two. My beta readers were more close-knit circle for book one, just because it was kind of nervous to share. But now I want to start branching out into finding beta readers. So I actually have a form on my in both my bios, my Instagram and my TikTok, of people who can sign up to be beta readers. Um, and I'm looking to do that in like November, December, because I would love to release book two in late spring of next year, early summer. That's the goal for book two. Because initially, so like when I first wrote the book, it was close to like 220,000 words, the
Wow.
first book one, and so I cut it in half. And so I've been fine-tuning over the last couple of years book one, and then the last year I've been working really hard on book two. So now I'm like really excited to kind of be moving into the end stages of that. And then that's kind of setting me on the ball. The book, it's getting the ball rolling to start working. Like I've started writing book two and a half. I have book three. I'm starting to map that out, and outline that. And I've been working on the whole series, outlining and having that the basic arcs that I want to go with. So
I like that.
lot
Yeah.
lots going on.
Oh yeah, definitely always going to be something, and it is always neat to see and learn how everybody, again, how writers work. We all very different, and it sounds like you're an outliner to an extent, and this I am to an
Yeah.
extent. I definitely let the story kind of have life of its own. I'm not very strict
Hmm.
when it comes to my outlines, but then there are those who just wing it, and I'm like, that's so fascinating to me. Again, my brain doesn't work
Yes.
that way, but it's really neat that it does for other people.
Right. I like to say I'm like a chapter by chapter winger, but I need to have my outline. Like I always start with a draft zero where it is every every chapter I know the basis of what's going to happen and I know the arc of the characters in the story and then go into draft one with that. But I have to have something to follow or else I get off track. And sometimes if I don't have a strict enough outline, sometimes the chapter gets too long because we just start going down a rabbit hole, which sometimes it can be fun. Sometimes it can be fun and it will help steer the book in a more organic direction. And so sometimes I'll continue and follow it. But the other times we're like, nope, nope, we need to steer it back.
Come back this way. Let's go. Yep. Nope. There. That's a fine line. Is letting it again breathe, or come to life and have stories reveal itself. But yes, when it comes to the whole meandering stuff, it's kind of like, okay, I need a hard jump in here and be like, nope, you need to go back on at least a path. Pick one path.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
I definitely get that. So that is kind of fun. So okay, are there any other kind of things that you're looking forward to coming forward? Obviously, now that you have a release, also, man, you are prepped and planned. I am. I still struggle trying to set goals, and every time I do, I feel like I'm prepared, and then they get pushed back. And then I'm prepared, and they get pushed back.
Well, the biggest struggle I've been has been like deadlines is like scheduling with beta readers, scheduling with my cover designer, scheduling with an editor. And so I've been really trying to be hard about my deadlines and getting them done because I'm really excited to so now that I've started learning more about selling direct, is that's probably going to be my next big thing that I
Right?
work on. I know it's a huge thing to do, but I'm really excited about it. And I've had actually several people reach out and they're like, "Hey, how can I buy your book from you?" They're like, "I don't want to buy it from
Yeah.
a place." They're like, "I want to buy it from you." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know people actually care." Like they wanted to do that. So that's when that's what first got me on to looking into selling direct. And I also want to go to events next year as well. So those are going to be kind of my two big goals, is learning the path to selling direct, going to events, and just keep continuing to follow the timeline, and hopefully everything goes to plan and I make my deadlines.
And like, I mean, some people, if you can't afford to do all the things like the book funnel and the Shopify or whatever you end up choosing, some people, like I originally was routing through in my Etsy, where so it got a little confusing.
Oh, okay.
I was also having my pet portraiture stuff, and then it was like I was the right fantasy. Yeah, so since then I split them up, but and
Hmm.
sell it now just through my website. But before I was figuring all that stuff out, that was one way that got me a step forward that wasn't as complicated as trying to full on set up all the other things to kind of link. But it all depends on how complicated and how many variations of things you're trying to offer versus maybe you just stick with physical copies for a while. You know, since your ebooks in KU, you won't be able to distribute that one directly,
Hmm.
but that can be, baby steps.
Yeah, the goal is just to start small with probably just going to be like signed copies and art prints, and then seeing how things go and moving from there.
Yeah, hey, and remember prints of your map. That's another thing you can put in there too, because people like maps.
Yes.
And it could be a freebie you tuck in with your book, or just a little few bucks extra add-on people can choose. But maps are something people like. Don't undersell those.
Yeah. That's something I need to look into, because with the fantasy map builder, it's weird because it's almost like working with stamps in a way, where it's pre-drawn, like a
Ah, okay.
pre-drawn map, like a mountain or something like that. So I don't own the rights to those images. The way you have to credit it is you have to credit fantasy map builder and then
Mm.
map designed by. So I would have to do some research into the license before I
Yeah,
could sell my
yeah,
maps,
definitely,
but
definitely do that. No one ever wants to take advantage of artists and don't step on other people's copyright and IP rights and all that stuff. So yes, check
yeah.
that out. But yes, if you are able to, I do know that's another thing people do enjoy getting. Because people ask me that all the time. I'm like, yeah, I don't really sell my maps yet.
I would eventually love to get like a really professional one. When I eventually do want to do a special edition, and I will probably get the map redone for that specifically. So it's more just kind of seeing how it goes, seeing where profits lie, what I can afford.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Make a little bit, put a little back in the kitty. Make a little bit, put it back in the kitty. It's a sidewall. I understand.
Yes.
So let me ask, since we're rounding the end of the hour, and this goes for everybody else who's been listening in and wants to chit chat as well, is there any question that you wanted to ask that you haven't had a chance to ask? Any topic you wanted to cover that you didn't get a chance to cover so far?
Gosh, I don't know.
General question. It gets everybody every time.
Yeah. So you said that you've been working on selling direct this year. So you said you sell through Shopify? Is that what you use?
It's a weird little system that I've set up. But yeah, I've already had a website for a while, and so I definitely wanted it to be accessible through a website. So I pretty much just have a linking button on there that jumps you to my Shopify shop. And that's where I
Gotcha.
have all my offerings listed, and that's my main shop front is through Shopify. Now, as of the beginning of, or in the last year, I don't remember exactly the timing, I was started able to sell my ebooks and then since then audiobooks um, through this system, and I distribute those through BookFunnel. So someone goes to the website, click shop, goes to my Shopify. buys the ebook, and Book Funnel sends them the ebook. So it's all kind of integrated.
Okay.
But that's a little more complex because I have digital
Mhm.
products versus just
Yeah.
physical products. Where if you have physical products, you get to decide if you're going to do one of those print on demand companies that have out there. So someone buys it, the other company prints it, ships it, and you don't have to do anything. Or you're going to do like I do, where I have my author's copies physically in house. So when someone buys it, I can sign it, package it pretty, ship it out. But that's work on me. So it all depends how you want to do it. There are so many options for everything.
Yeah. I haven't decided yet how I want to do that yet because yeah, it will only be the paperback. Eventually, depending on how things go, I might eventually move from Kindle Unlimited to wide ebook. I'm not sure yet. Um, when I have talked with authors in the past, they've said that especially for starting out and trying to find new readers, that Kindle Unlimited is one of the best ways to do
Yes, it
it. So that
definitely
way,
is.
yeah.
It definitely is. There are a lot of people on there that are just on there, and that is a great, first step for people. I was on there originally. Since then, I did move out wide because I wanted to have that capability of selling, my digital stuff directly when I go to events, sell it that way, be able to take it wide going forward. But it's as an indie author, there's no one right choice. You figure out what works for you, stay in it. If it's doing well, stay in it. Great. If it's kind of dips around, you're like, I wonder what it is, to be wide. You can change it, play around, see what works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
see
do
Alice.
like
Yeah,
how.
it was a love-hate relationship. It can be, depending, and there's a lot of factors. It just depends on, genres and trends and,
Mhm.
yeah, subgenres and so many things. And it's a game. But yeah, it's a good start for someone who doesn't, is just trying to figure things out. It's a good first step, and then you can go from there.
Right. Well, something I'm super excited is I was like, I can see the number of pre-orders obviously for my paperbacks,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if there's is a way and I just haven't figured it out or like how many people who have like I don't know if it's pre-order or like pre because it's like borrowing, I guess is my understanding for KU. There's no way to show me anyone who's like added it on their Kindle Unlimited. So I'm really excited to see how many people are going to read it on Kindle Unlimited when it
Yeah,
comes out.
and yeah, give it a little time and see how it goes. But yeah, it is sometimes shocking, like what you don't expect, and all of a sudden you get the good news stuff, and if it's the reverse, which hopefully it's not, where you don't see a lot of stuff in the beginning, it doesn't mean your book's not good. It just market differently, and all of a sudden things will pick up. So, and I also see a
Hmm.
comment. Hey guys. I like the first book in the series on KU, but then the rest are wide. Hook them and then manipulate readers. I mean, that is a strategy. I've often considered, do I maybe do like a standalone or something just for people to like my writing style, but I've not been gutsy enough to leave the first book on there personally because again, I want to sell them direct and I want to sell them all direct.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do know that model of putting the first book of a series and leaving that on there usually does some people very well. So again, different things. You never know what works for you until you try.
Right? Yeah. I have a few ideas for some standalones, but I'll probably stick with like series for a while. But no, so maybe I'll try that. I don't know. We'll have to
Yeah,
see.
I love to see. Or if you have a prequel or a novella or something that ties in that's maybe not your first book, but still is a
Hmm.
tie-in that doesn't spoil too much of that series and it hooks you into the world. Those can also be great on KU.
Oh,
Um,
that's true.
yeah, yeah. Things to think about. I just started trying to get into short stories. Not that I would put short stories on KU because they're not big enough to earn anything, but there's something fun that I've been doing and offering to like newsletter people, and got a little comfortable with writing them. So now I'm trying to get into things like anthologies to start cross promoting, uh,
Hmm.
names of authors in those kind of works, and we'll see how that goes if I get accepted and how that goes. Also, Atlas was asking what kind of books, since you just joined in lately, what are you writing? So give a quick pitch. Gotta practice. Quick pitch of
Yeah.
your books and show the cover.
Yeah, so I'm a fantasy romance author. So this is my debut, A Realm of Blood and Mercy. So this releases next month. So it follows it's a portal fantasy following Amaris, a firefighter paramedic from Earth, who finds herself stumbling into a fantasy world. And it's going to be dual POV, where we will then follow Theo Fastrada, who is the captain in his father's forces, and his father is also the Duke. So we kind of have that fun little noble birth there. And so Amaris, when she stumbles into this fantasy world, she doesn't. I'm so sorry.
This is
You
why you practice.
said
We practice.
yes.
It's all practice.
Um, yeah, so she ends up stumbling actually into a dead body. And so when she's there and she finds this dead body, the others they all kind of find it at the same time. And there it's like oh crap, are you the killer? Are you the killer? So them being soldiers, they end up taking her prisoner and they arrest her because they think she's the killer. So then the rest of the book is going to be Amaris trying to figure out what happened to her, why she's in this world, how could she get back? Because she has a fiance back home that she is trying to get back to. And also the whole time it's a medieval fantasy world, so she is adapting her paramedic skills to this fantasy herb system, medicinal herb system that they have. So basically, she's trying to learn either to escape or learn prove that she isn't the murderer.
So
All right, that
for
wasn't too bad.
a no, again, this is why you practice because I I've been published for a number of years and I still am terrible at this. I'm better. But it doesn't take me like 5 paragraphs for me to like pitch any of my books. I have to like figure out how to like get that hooked in there. That's why we
Yeah.
practice. But two things. When I do see the thing about asking, like it kind of becomes a small whodunit aspect. Yes, that is true. It sounds like. Also, if and when you ever sell direct, and you're one of the people like me who package and sign and send out stuff, it kind of would be cute because you're talking about the medicinal things. If you could figure out how to do some little teas or tea-like things for the
Ooh.
medicinal teas of your character to send out in your book with your
Oh,
books.
that would be cool. Because, yeah, it's so the herbs in this system are I've completely made them all up in their properties. Like, it's not, none of the herbs are actual herbs that we have
Yeah.
here. And so, yeah, that could be fun.
Or if you really want to get crazy, gosh, I have to stop. It's 8 o'clock. I need to stop. But if you really want to get crazy, you get your book. You wrap it pretty. You get the wax stamp. You have your dried herbs. You put it there. You put the wax. You stamp it on. It looks gorgeous. Okay, I'm done.
I love it. I love it.
You spend 15 hours making it one beautiful book, and then but they would look pretty. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I also see bookmarks with small elixir vial yes, exactly. You can play it up.
That'd be cool.
Just lean into it. You gotta lean into it and everything. Anywho,
Yes.
but this is why it's fun. It's fun to check. You never know. Some of these, I throw so many random ideas out on these. Most of them will probably never see the light of day, though. So you never know.
I do love playing on that herb system because that's something that when I was first starting to pitch that I was really focusing on is the how it's like a herb system because I want people it's not just like a firefighter thrown into a romance book. Like it is a firefighter medic where she is actually intertwining her skills and her knowledge into it. And so that would be fun to throw more of the herbs in there for
Yeah,
marketing
yeah.
purposes.
It's easier than throwing fire in there. Probably not a good thing to mix fire with a book when you're trying to ship it out.
Oh no.
But well, thank you so much for hanging out with me this past hour. It's at my 8 o'clock time, which is my dogs need to be let out. That's why it's
Well,
8
thank you so much for having me.
But yeah, thank you so much. And I'm super excited about your book releasing on October 28th. Pre-orders out now. Please check that out. If there's anything else you wanted to mention before I wrap up, special news of note, this is that perfect time.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we feel like we hit everything.
Yeah, no. So yes, I'll say pre-orders out. Your book releases, your debut book releases October 28th.
Yes.
And as far as my news and note, I will be dropping signups for my upcoming first time I'm ever doing a special edition Kickstarter coming out, and it will be for my uh, Dark Retellings of Nordic Myth series, The Guardian Speaker, so Viking fantasy. People are into that. So
Ooh,
that's my news and note. Woohoo!
that
I'm
sounds exciting.
It is. I'm so nerve wracked. Because it's like starting over again, trying to figure out all the stuff, and ugh. But that's another chat for another day. But as I said, it's been lovely being able to meet you and hang out with you. And if you ever want to do another one of these lives yet again, I try to do them about weekly, schedule them in advance, maybe after you've released your book or as you're kind of pursuing releasing your subsequent one, which is coming out, you said early next year, early-ish, first part of next year. So
Yeah, around spring is what we're hoping for.
yeah, so that's so exciting. I'm so excited for you. But
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for hanging out, and I will definitely let you know how if I'm able to repurpose this on YouTube. And for everybody who's hung out for the last little bit, thank you so much too. And we will see you in the book talk verse.
Thank you so much for having. It was really fun.
And I'll see all you guys next time. Happy writing, everyone, and happy reading.